All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Duplays here. We're back with some more YouTube reactions, and today we're checking out this guy's Toy Story 2 remake. And I think I saw this last year, so it's done, as the title says. So we're gonna check it out now.
On April 2nd,
Let's get into it.
2024, I released my first trailer for my remake of Toy Story 2 from scratch in Unreal Engine 5.
There it is,
This
from
is what
last
it
year.
looks like now. Now, while this started as a portfolio project, over the last 600 days, we've made 322 custom-made models, 102 blueprints with 3,467 blueprint nodes, 567 commits on Perforce, and 40 hours baking lights, all just to make the first 3 levels of the game. And in the last month alone, we have completely refactored our cosmetic system and added 20 outfits to the game, including even Mrs. Nesbit. Also, I've made a major optimization overhaul to the game and have more than doubled performance while improving the look of the game.
You know, as a beginner developer myself, it's really interesting to hear these
Getting this kind of
things.
performance out of Unreal Engine 5 is particularly interesting. And yeah, that title is not a lie. So let's go over our final update.
This looks like it was made by Disney itself. This looks like an official product. Not a fan-made one.
2 reassembled. For the last year, our artist Kyle has been wanting to remake Buzz's model, as we were still using the Kingdom Hearts 3 version, and the way the model and his materials were made has caused headaches with making cosmetic variants. In fact, we already completely remade his skeleton a year ago when Ilya made animations. We remade Buzz's model completely from scratch while keeping the skeleton we made last year. Obviously, the proper way to do this would just make the skeleton and mesh at the same time, but at the time we didn't think we were actually going to ever remake him. Next, Kyle completely remade his textures and materials. Basically, we turned Buzz completely white and made several masks for each part of his body. This means we can tint individual parts of his body in Engine rather than having to make color variants in Photoshop. This will be very important when we make the cosmetic system update. Another advantage of the new Buzz texture is we can now actually make parts of him emit light properly. So now, when Buzz's wings open, his lights flash. We can do this by calling these exposed variables on the material in code to change their emissive strength. Also, the random animations were broken for several months for some reason, so I fixed that too. These animations look really cool, especially with these new cosmetics. So let's take a look at how I made the new system, right after a word from this video's sponsor, Brilliant.org. Brilliant helps you become a better thinker and problem solver. With that,
I was a bit confused with that stuff. Let's skip that.
daily access to everything on Brilliant. And now let's get back to making some cosmetics for Buzz Lightyear. I created a data asset file for each collectible. This data asset contains several variables and options for me, the most important of which is the cosmetic type, as this decides how it is activated. I did palette swaps first, since with the new Buzz model, these are super easy and can be made in as little as 10 minutes. We already have a material instance for Buzz's standard outfit. So we just need to create a copy, then tweak the colors in the exposed variables here. Remember that Buzz is actually just completely white now, so any colors we add here tint the white color to the colors that we want. We can even tweak metallic and roughness values, though only a few cosmetics actually use these. While I never added this would technically allow for the creation of a color wheel at runtime, where players could technically choose their own color palettes. This Bounty Hunter cosmetic is an example of something that could have been made by
That's an interesting
Metroid.
color mix.
Once a player selects their color palette cosmetic, the system basically just swaps the main material on Buzz. It's really lightweight in the code, and Kyle did awesome at this for making it as easy as possible to implement. We took this opportunity to also revise our cosmetic menu a bit. This is one of the things that broke with the Unreal Engine 5.6 conversion, but I mostly fixed it. We'll talk about that later. To test all of our new cosmetics, I then made the super simple demo room, where all cosmetics could be added and easily tested. Next, I added the closed eyes and the forced glow in the dark. These are not super interesting to talk behind the scenes though, so let's move on. But now, it's time to talk about Miss Nesbit. Kyle made a new mesh for Buzz as Miss Nesbit, where he is wearing the hat and apron, as well as missing his left arm. The bottom of the apron isn't working exactly right with the collision yet, but it's just
Yeah, it's clipping through the thighs,
so cool
but I'm
that we
sure
have
y'all
to show
will
it off
fix
now.
that.
I really love that the model works so well without the arm. We did also get the original version of Buzz and get him into the game, though he has a few problems that are the result of the ripping process. I'm glad that we were able to get our animations to work on him though. However, if we wanted to fully fix Buzz here, we would have to just fully remake him, and there's just something really charming about this model as it is anyways. We also created several cosmetic attachments, including his helmet, a rose, Woody's hat, and paint on his wings that say "This base for rent." Oh, we also added Zurg's helmet, which I liked so much that I actually gave him a palette swap to go with it. To make these, we basically created
Yeah, I think that was a good move.
For each cosmetic. Sockets are used as reference and attachment points directly on the character's bone structure, meaning that the socket moves with the animations as well. These are usually used for attaching guns to a character's hands, for example. Then, on the data asset, we select the static meshes that we want to spawn and set the name of the bone or socket that we are attaching them to. Once the attachment is selected, the item is spawned and attached to that socket. We did have a slightly more stylized design for the helmet on Buzz, but after seeing the
Can I just say I love the node style programming rather than having to write code.
Toy Story 5
I much
teaser,
prefer
we
that.
both noted that the art tech behind Buzz's helmet was really cool. I mean, this looks amazing. Look at how the back half of his helmet is a more opaque plastic, and as well as the refraction from his helmet on Woody's mouth. So we made our helmet material a bit more like this, and I love it. Before we move on though, let's go through every single cosmetic real quick so you can see all the options that we added. So this is my test scene where we basically have every single cosmetic that we can get in the project. So you can see as I pick one up, I'll get a little notification if it's a new cosmetic that we have unlocked that cosmetic. So that's PS1 Buzz, Miss Nesbit, Closed Eyes. But what we're gonna focus on first are the palette swaps, since these are fairly easy to implement and there's quite a few of them. So we'll start with the battle scar because that's been seen in other videos. We have a preview here, but the lighting isn't exact. That's something I haven't ever really worked out yet, but there is the 3D model
implemented.
Of the Buzz Lightyear toy behind him. I did actually test out having Buzz inside of that box, but it didn't fit quite right and it was too hard to see all of them, and so I thought overall it's just better to take him out. But you can see we even have his wings colored. He looks really good. Next is 30th anniversary, which is the day I'm filming this, funny enough, where he's just like solid silver.
Chrome.
It was a 30th anniversary toy that was just announced. I don't remember if this looks exactly like this.
Close to
basically,
chrome.
this guy is like fully metal, minus his face. So next we have Cosmic Black, which is a mix of silver and black.
I really like
this,
this,
really good.
even more than the
His wings are
previous
solid
one.
black. When he glows in the dark on this, the black parts turn white. That's what we decided to go with. So you can see here, we're in Andy's room because the lighting is better in here. But you can see Buzz with the cyan and the red. Very nice combo overall. All right, next we're going to look at Reverse Buzz. We've already
Pause menu needs some work in terms of UI, but I mean it's placeholder. It's a placeholder UI, so I didn't even need to mention that. Obviously, he's gonna make it look better.
But this green and blue are really fun to see kind of swapped. It looks kind of uncanny, but I do like the purple. Probably the most requested palette swap of anything we've gotten is Search and Rescue, which is based off of a toy that was black and blue. And yeah, this looks really sharp. I'm glad we did this one. His wings are like a light blue, but yeah, I'm very happy we did this one. This is really good looking. So thank you to whoever suggested that first, which was someone in the TS2
Kind of like you.
Discord. Next is Bounty Hunter, who I did say was based off of Metroid at a different part in the video, but we kind of made
Orange and yellow.
made
That's
him
an interesting
chrome
mix.
and as close to.
But then I feel like you should have made this the what would I call this? I can't call it a mask because it doesn't cover the face. The headgear, this should have been orange to match. I feel like you should have made this orange to match with the rest of the armor.
Samest as I could. It's not exact, like he doesn't have a blue arm cannon obviously, but it does look kind of nice, especially with all the chrome. I think it's cool. We next added a very simple system, but it's worth showing off because it just adds so much to the game, and that is camera shake. But if you like these videos and you want to see more projects get this kind of remake treatment, feel free to subscribe and turn notifications on. I created a camera shake blueprint for both taking damage and for using the ground pound. This lets me set the strength of the camera shake as well as some other variables.
Camera shakes always emphasize combat impact. So if you punch somebody and the camera shakes, it's really like emphasizes the power behind that attack. Even in anime, the screen's always shaking, earthquakes, rocks everywhere, that type of thing. Environmental damage in
Such
conjunction
as
with the camera
duration. This is as
shaking.
simple as going to the code where the ground pound impact happens and invoking the camera shake to activate then. This adds a lot of game feel and makes the ground pound feel even more powerful. This is really cool considering how easy this was to get working. It only took me like 5 or 10 minutes. I also don't remember if I ever talked about it before, but the ground pound does damage to all enemies within range now, and it's pretty powerful. There's one system in this remake that I am absolutely tired of, and that is RC's terrible movement. So let's fix this. I still use a spline to tell RC where he should aim for. However, instead of using the AI move to nodes, which are very basic, I use these add movement input nodes to tell him to turn in such a way that he aims for this path. The thing about this is that these movement inputs are how player characters are controlled as well, so it feels much more natural. There was a lot more math though behind this to make sure you can't skip loops, for example. The calculations to make him follow the path is probably a bit overcomplicated, but it works well enough. After that, I wanted to add some cutscene shots for level 2. This is done by using the sequencer tool in Unreal Engine. This system is a whole different beast of its own, where you can basically control every aspect of the scene. There are even several properties here to give cameras a more cinematic feel. These properties are
As I'm looking at the Unreal Engine 5 editor, it almost feels like whatever proprietary software Disney, or I should say Pixar, uses when making the movies. It feels so commercial. And I mean, that's not that big of a surprise because the Unreal Engine 5 is like industry standard. It's a pretty well-known, famous engine, so it's not even like it's some no-name thing I'm being impressed by. I expect this from Unreal Engine 5. But this feels like I'm looking at the animators making Toy Story at Pixar rather than the
available
game
on the standard
itself.
camera as well, though most of the time these are not really tweaked unless you're making a really cinematic game like an adventure game, a horror game, or something in between like a Remedy game, for example. Basically, I get some camera settings that I kind of like. Then I place Buzz and the other character in specific places to get the shot I want. Clair Obscur did inspire me to get a little bit creative with things like the focus, so I change that sometimes. Mostly to just get more comfortable with the sequencer tool. I'm not that good at this, trust me, I know that. But I'm particularly proud of this shot here because of how I framed Buzz and the kite inside of the tree limbs. I wish we had animations for these characters for these cutscenes, but this at least gets the shot. With my next remake, this is something I specifically want to expand on more with getting better shots, lighting, animations, and immersion into these cutscenes. I then added a super simple feature for level 1, which was a suggestion in the comments of my last video. This could have been added to level 2, but I just haven't added them yet. Essentially, I took the cars that we have in the neighborhood and made them follow splines that follow visible parts of the road. There were only a couple of cars, but yeah, this does add a lot to the world, even with something so simple. So simple, in fact, that I literally called this system Simple Cars. Despite all of this though, we have a major problem. Our game has some significant optimization issues. Currently at 1080p at high.
I was thinking that. I was like, I haven't heard him say anything about graphic settings, and I was noticing some lag, so I'm like, okay, now it's time to
The
put
game
graphic settings
usually
in.
runs at 25 to 40 FPS with my 3060. This graphics card
Yeah, I was wondering what graphics card he was using. I thought he would have been using something more high-end. I was expecting to hear a 3090. A 3060 is pretty decent, but a game like this should run
is
way
actually
better
a
on
really
hardware
good
like
one
that.
to use as a reference since it is fairly similar in performance to a PlayStation 5. I've mentioned recently that we moved from Unreal Engine 5.3 to 5.6, which does get us a bit of an increase with performance optimizations made with Lumen over the last couple of years. This increased our performance by probably about 20% on average with no changes on my end, so just free performance. It was at this time that I decided to test light baking in Unreal Engine 5. This is a system where instead of rendering lights at runtime, you basically bake the environmental lights and shadows in Engine. To do this, I disabled Lumen in the project settings and disabled it on the post-processing volumes in the scene. I then turned all lights to either static or stationary, and then I built the lighting. I did have a lot of issues to fix with this as I haven't done baked lighting myself in quite a while, so there was a lot to learn. For example, the lighting at first looked horrible for some reason, but I later learned that my objects didn't have a good light map resolution set on them. You can see this with an optimization view, where objects that are blue have a low light map resolution, green is good, and red red is a high resolution. Now, this isn't strictly a situation where you should just make everything green, because some assets are a bit further away and can have a lower res map. We did learn a lot of lessons from this though. For example, light maps can only be 4K max. This makes sense to me, but since our rooms are so large and singular meshes, that means that even at 4K, they can be a little low res. Not bad, but just a little low. I have a lot to learn with this system still, but it was a major turning point with optimization. But while doing this, I also disabled TAA. In the last video, I said this specifically about TAA. For those of you who hate anti-aliasing, especially of the TAA variety, I'm sure you've noticed the ghosting on specifically the emissives buzz. Just know that I do find that very annoying too, and I just haven't dedicated time to resolve that, but it is very frustrating to me. Well, after moving into versions, disabling TAA, and moving from lumen to baked lights, my game now runs between 70 to 110 FPS.
Also, one more thing. I never noticed, does Buzz actually have these lights in the movies? I've never seen him use this before. That's interesting. If that's so, then I learned something new.
Ultra settings. YouTube compression does hurt this a little bit in the video, but man, does this game look crisp now. Unreal Engine can be a really powerful engine, and despite what Thread Interactive will tell you, you can get really great performance with Lumen as well. It just requires someone a bit smarter than me to actually understand optimizations with real-time lighting. It really just leans more on the developer's ability to use the tool properly for their project requirements. For example, I may not be an optimization expert, but I did learn enough to get my project to a more acceptable level of performance. There is certainly a lot of performance overhead that I can continue to squeeze out, but this is really good for now. I did also take this time as an opportunity to delete some fluff plugins on Unreal Engine 5. This may make the game run a little faster, but I think more so it just shrinks the
Oh, so basically, yeah, the file size, because I have extensions that I use in GDevelop, the engine that I'm using to build my Ben 10 game. You're just deleting all the stuff you don't need. And I'm seeing a bunch of Android extensions, and this is a PC game, so I'm guessing you're getting rid of all of those.
Or at least that's my understanding. And now, it's done. Almost 2 years spent on this project that I love so much and I'm so proud of. But both Kyle and I want to push the bounds of creativity in art direction and game design. So, it's time to move on to a new project. And while I'll keep doing remakes at as high of a quality as I can make, I want my next remake to be something even more unique and creative.
Original?
So with that, thank you to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. I'm incredibly thankful for every single one of y'all's.
I wonder if Monsters University is going to be next, or Up, or Incredibles. What are the odds?
Thank y'all for watching, and until I see y'all in my next remake, y'all take care now.
Honestly, man, I love these white people. They're so creative. Kind of racist, though. I'm referring to me on the racist part. But anyways, yeah, that was really good. I'm tired, but the grind goes on. I'm going to record my next video now when I find it. I'm doing a lot of reactions lately. Goodbye.